family. Always a blessing to have you back in the community of restoration and enlightenment. Hey, we're getting into October 2020, 10,
Wow.
2020. Lots of numerical movement. Always giving a shout out to our sister Danielle Page as we start off and kick off our sessions with a brand new day, right?
New day.
So remember, no matter what's going on around us, it's always a new opportunity to up level. So today we are talking about difficult conversations.
Yeah, we're going to have a brief discussion on difficult conversations with your significant other and also with your children. It kind of prompted us this week because while I was at work, wifey had an extremely difficult conversation with our daughter Lyric. Can you share what that conversation was about?
Well, you know, with children, you never know where it is. They're like the ultimate lawyers. They'll start you off down a path, but you never know where they're leading you. And so Lyrics, wakes up in a mood, and she looks at me and says, "Mom, when I get older, are you gonna be older? Like, are you gonna be old?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She's like, "All right, I want you to," I said, "I am gonna get older. Like, we're all gonna get older together." And she said, "Well, are you gonna die? Like, are you gonna die by the time I'm an adult?" And I said, "No, I hope not. And, if God willing, you know how you give the politically correct diplomatic answer." And then she says, "Well, will you be alive when I graduate from college?" She got more specific. She tried to pin me down. But when I started to engage her and I explained to her that, people get older and, things do happen, but my hope is to be here with her. And she said, "Oh my God, at some point you're going to die." And she just burst out into tears. And she said, "Look, she said, we got to change the topic. I can't talk about this anymore."
It was too much for her.
It was too much for her. But the fact that she said, "I want us to live forever, all of us. I want us to live forever." And the fact that I couldn't give her a definitive answer that was suitable to her, she got highly emotional.
Right.
But I will say something that we did at her lead and prompt is that she was able to wrap her mind around the fact that she was never able to meet my husband's parents, her grandparents, her paternal grandparents. Mm-hmm. And what soothed her, I said, "You will always be able to talk to me, but I won't physically be here." And I said, kind of like how we've taught you to do with your grandparents. So at that moment, she asked if we could get the picture down. We have a picture behind us of her grandparents married, but she actually, Kenneth's parents, when they renewed their vows, but she specifically went and got a picture of her dad as a baby with his mom, and we sat it down, and she talked to her grandma, Charlena, and she specifically asked for her to watch over us, and she also told her that slavery is still going on somewhere in this world. So to please help us address that, because that's based on it. If you haven't seen it, this girl, she's been here before.
She was calling on the ancestors. And she's 6 years old now, calling on the ancestors to please help us with all of the racism and the slavery and the atrocities of this world that we're living in. And so that's just it today. We just want to talk about those difficult conversations with people that you love. Sometimes they are so hard, so uncomfortable, so I guess that's probably the greatest word. They're just uncomfortable because maybe you need to tell somebody that they did something and you're not sure how they're going to respond. And most of the time, that's what we're afraid of. We're afraid of an assumed response. We don't know what the response is, but we're afraid of what we assume it may sound like and look like. Are we going to hurt their feelings? Are they going to be mad? Will they ever not speak to me again? Are they going to blow up? Is this going to cause friction in the future? So, what do you do in those moments when it's time to have those difficult conversations?
I mean, as a matter of fact, I got called on the carpet this week by someone I love who had a difficult conversation
We both
about
did,
my
right?
parenting style and just how they love me, but they really saw that if I didn't do certain things, it could lead to greater problems later with having my children respect me and being having a level of decorum where although we love each other and I have more of a friendly nature, but that they always know that I'm the parent. And so, as well as how I deal with stress in talking to them. So I committed to, because I'm not a big, corporal discipliner or physical discipliner, but I noticed I was having the tendency, and it was brought to my attention that I was yelling too much, as well as allowing too many things to go. So what can I say? But you know what? You love me enough to give me examples and to show me. And I think my husband always says, which I can appreciate, we're not each other's. I'm not going to be your yes man. I'm not going to go along with it just because it feels right.
Just because it sounds right,
right,
knowing that it might not feel right.
Right, and it can get uncomfortable. And as a matter of fact, shout out to our sister, because one of the reasons we started doing Core so tough is because she had a difficult conversation with us about walking in our purpose.
Yeah.
And what I've come to recognize is that people who love you are going to hold you to a standard, and they're going to make sure that they pull your coattails if you slide to the left or slide to the right. And not that they're telling you how to live your life, but it's more so of, look, this is just a blind spot you may have. And I appreciate that. And I think we have to do that for one another. But what I will say is, you got to pay attention to when it's the right time to have those conversations, and you have to be in the right spirit, and you have to make sure the other person is in the right spirit.
Yeah, because I mean, so we both got called on the carpet about some things in life, and for me, I had to make sure immediately put ego aside. Put ego and pride aside and listen. And listen from a place where you say, okay, I want to make sure after this that I show up as a better version of myself, as a better version to my wife, to my children, to the people that we love, our friends, to society, period. You want to make sure that you listen. And listen, hey, I'm going to be strictly transparent. That is not always the easiest thing to do. Sometimes you want to lash back and you want to, but you didn't do. But if somebody loves you and they're telling you the right thing, if they were loving you enough and bold enough to say, hey, we need to have a difficult conversation, and then have that conversation, and they are able to tell you, hey, this is what I'm seeing from you, or this is some things that you're doing, or these are some things that you've done to me that have hurt my feelings, or I don't feel good about it. I don't know how you can walk away from that if you put your ego and pride away, right? I don't know how you can walk away from that not loving them even more, having much more respect for them, and then you will, once you put your ego and pride and your little feelings away, you can go back and say, you know what, I appreciate that. I needed it. It was difficult for me to hear it in that moment, but I needed it, and I thank you that you saw the best in me when other people didn't, and you didn't want me to not live up to what that best was. And so I thank you, and I appreciate difficult conversations, man, with your significant other. We've had them,
or
we
family,
still have them,
or friends.
Exactly.
I have had it in all areas, and I've actually had some people here. Don't be afraid of somebody walking away from you if you standing in truth and righteousness and love.
Yeah.
Because I have had friendships and things end for periods of time over having a difficult conversation, and it was hurtful. It'll have you thinking, well, dang, wow, should I have even gone there? But I will tell you, in all the circumstances that are coming to my mind, when we got into a mature space later, in a more spiritual space, it actually pushed our friendship to the next level, or that relationship. And in us, there are times where we've had a conversation on the table and we've had to admit, you know what, I'm not ready to hear this right now. or I'll say, like, I'm not ready to be that grown, or I'm not ready to pull it together just yet. But later can come back and say, you know what, I'm going to work on that. I wasn't ready to hear that then.
And I will add that, hey family, hey auntie, I will add that if those people do walk away, and I'm saying you, the two of you really have spoken in truth, or you've spoken in your truth, or they've spoken to you in their truth. And what they're really saying is really good for you. You really need to hear it. And so if you do that and they walk away, I will say to you, you might want to ask yourself, I'm not saying get rid of them, but you might want to ask yourself, were they really your true friends in the first place? Were they really your real friends? Were those, and I say it often, were they really your people? Because sometimes you hang around people that you call your people, they're really not your people. And if I can't tell you the truth about you or about me, and we can't, at some point in time, right? At some point in time, get to that, as wifey, I like that phrase. At some point in time, we can't get to that mature space. Because in that moment, okay, it's emotions. And I'll give you that. Okay, you're emotional. What I just said to you was a lot. So let me give you some time. But at some point in time, we can't get to that mature space. Then are they really your people?
And now I'm about to flip. I agree with you. But I'm about to flip this on you another way. Because you also have to check yourself. Because sometimes the catalyst or the motive for having a conversation is to actually just get it off of you. And that
or to just say that you right or something, right?
Right. And what I mean by that, I've had somebody call me up to apologize for something, and I could tell it was really just to free them. And what I mean by that is, in the apology and in the difficult conversation, it was so hurtful and was so deep what they were saying that it actually helped them more to get it off their chest than it did for me to hear it.
Wow.
Because we were at a point in the relationship where it really didn't matter anymore. So at this point, it was about freeing them. So it wasn't even really about restoring the relationship more than you needed to free your soul.
And sometimes you do that, right? You're like, listen, there's something I need to talk to you about. I know it happened 2-3 weeks ago, a year ago, whatever, but it's been bothering me. We haven't fully addressed it. So I need to talk like that, right? So we need to talk about this.
But if the person on the other side, luckily I could handle it. But if you, I guess what I'm saying is, ask yourself, can this person handle what I'm about to say too? Because if it's more about just getting it out versus this is not the time because this is not the season for that conversation, then you're gonna do more hurting than you will do helping.
As Auntie says, you must. I wish we could put that all in caps. You must use discernment when addressing. You definitely should. I mean, because there's not to get so biblical and stuff, but there's a time to plant, there's a time to pluck up, there's a time to reap, there's a time to sow. And if you're not in the right time, you could really do more damage than good if you don't choose the right time. And then sometimes any time and every time is the right time, because maybe that person is just out of control. Maybe you're the person.
It's a matter of life and death.
Yeah, or maybe you're out of control. So any time is the right time. But often most times it's not there. Those are kind of those one-offs.
Those are extremes.
Yeah, those are extremes. So most of the time is, okay, she or he they're still in their feelings, so let me give them a little time. Okay, now I've caught you in your mature space. Hey, I need to talk to you. And we've done it with one another. And that's why we talk about not going to bed upset with one another. We try our best not to,
Or let's get it to a point where we can say, look, let's go to bed and talk about this another day.
Yeah, well, at least we can be mature about it. Like, listen, we're super tired. We've had a long day. Remember, we need to address this again, right? We need to address this. We ain't just going to leave this out. We need to address this.
When you're really spiritual, you can say everything is okay. And we've actually had arguments in the spirit.
Yeah. Well, you can't even sleep. You can't even sleep.
We tried to leave it on the table and pick it back up, but we didn't even sleep good, right?
Yeah, if you're really connected with your significant other or your children, and your children are connected with you, things aren't the same. They're just not for that moment. You know what I mean? It's just a different feeling. It's an odd feeling. It's just not the same. You're in the kitchen passing one another, and maybe they bump you, and you're like, wait, did they just bump me out of anger because you ain't let it go? Because y'all still ain't addressed it. So that's why it's so important that you address those things and make sure you get to the root of the problem and own up to your mistakes and be responsible for you, and the other person has to own up to theirs and be responsible for them. And then you meet at hopefully at a happy medium, at a mature place where you can say, okay, even if at the end of the conversation you're like, listen, I'm not ready to change right now, but I hear you, I see you, and I'm going to, at least in this place, try not to say or do that to you again. But I'm not ready to change, whatever that may be, right? Maybe they're trying to really, really, really change you, or somebody that you've always been. So you're like, listen, okay, this is a lot, so I'm gonna need a little time to get to this new version of me that you're pointing out, right? It's a process, so it's not gonna happen overnight. So the person that's calling them to the carpet has to also be patient and let them get there. Not the next day, did you change yet? Or you doing it again? Well, wait a minute. We just had this discussion last night. So, so when you come to the carpet, when you're having those difficult conversations, patience is the key, and knowing that it's a process.
Right. And I'll add that, like, for those of you that have read Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, or have done work on the psychological and relationship aspects of men and women, men use like 10,000 less words a day than women. And a lot of times we want to address something Johnny on the spot. Like, we want to handle it right then. We want to talk about it right then. And the man is just going to shut down, because a lot of times they need to step back and process and think about what happened, like, and not go into all the little details right on the spot in the moment or whatever. Like you bring it up or something, and then kind of let them chew on it, or I want to talk about this later,
Ooh, I have one as we're getting into this, because sometimes this happens, and I don't like to apply things to genders, but let's just be real. A lot of times these things happen with genders. So one of the things that we talked about, and one of the things that we discussed, and loving on one another and having those difficult conversations, a lot of times, and if there's any fellas that's watching this, you can attest to this. When a woman says to you, we need to talk, we need to talk, or I need to talk to you later on, you're like, okay, so like she's done that to me before. The whole day, I'm working, handling business, problem solving, but in the back of my subconscious, in my mind, I'm like, Lord, what did I do wrong? Did I leave the toilet seat up? Did I forget to put the kids' things away? Did I say something? Did I do something? I mean, what did I do? I'm like, Lord, I know I didn't do wrong, but your mind is, what's the song? My mind's playing tricks on me, right? So all day, so I would say to you ladies, every time you say we need to talk, it shouldn't be, excuse me, it shouldn't be followed up with something negative all the time.
Right. Yeah.
Let's compliment sometimes. Hey, I want to talk to you later on. If he's busy, hey, let's talk later on, and then let's make that a compliment session. Hey, I just want to tell you that I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of the things that you've been doing. I'm proud of the man you are. I'm proud of you loving me, the father you are to our children. All of these things. Let's say, and fellas, we can do the same to our women, right? I'm just proud of you, babe. I see you. Like the other day. Well, it's been probably maybe 3 weeks now. I just brought Roses home in a car. It wasn't her birthday. Yeah, it wasn't anything. Awesome. It was just because I'm going into work, which is stressful enough, and I'm, COVID and all that, trying to get home and be healthy and cover up and, got on masks and suits and all this crazy stuff, right? She's at home with the children during the day. So she's working and she's also a teacher. Now, so I have to make sure that I respect that. So I just brought things home to say, hey, I love you. I'm proud of you. I see you. And a lot of times that's all people really want to see and hear. That's what they really want to hear. Hey, I see you. I see you, the awesome job that you're doing, the mother. I steal that line from Kevin Durant. You the real MVP, babe. For real. I'm a sports guy, so you the real MVP doing all that. What were you saying? Go ahead.
I know, I appreciate that, because Ken always talks about, because he's in management, using the technique of the compliment sandwich.
Yeah.
And one thing that I try to check myself on is that if I can control myself in the professional realm and I know how not to talk nasty to people at work or in the public, then how can I treat my family any less than that? Children, my husband, my anyone that's close to us, you easy to pop off on them.
Wait, say that again so they really get that. Say that, say that again.
He'll be like, at least, babe, if you're going to come at me, let me know what I did good. Then we can address the dip of what I can do better. And then let's end it on a high note.
Right.
And so I will say, really, since we've been going through this COVID thing, Ken really brought that to my attention to, okay, if you're going to complain that I left the TV on and the lights in every room, come home and tell me when I don't have the air on. And
I'm saying is this,
I've really
fellas,
been thinking about it.
And all I'm saying is this, the same amount of energy you have when you're complaining, bring that same amount of energy when I do good.
That's right.
That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? If you flipping tables and all that when I'm doing wrong, and listen, I'm being silly, y'all. She don't flip tables and anything like that. But the same amount of energy. So if it's an hour or two of you complaining, telling me what I didn't do right, when I do something good, I need an hour or two of you telling me that I did good. Right? Isn't that fair? The same amount, and both, not just from her to me, from me to her as well. Mm-hmm. Flowers, take her out. Well, can't really do the taking out, but just let her know that she looked good, that she's doing good, that I'm proud of her, that, whatever it is that's going on, just everything shouldn't be a complaint. If everything about your significant other is a complaint,
check yourself.
Once again, you need to be trying to find out, or is that really my people? You know what I mean?
Or you need to look in, because a lot of times when we are picking at somebody else, it's really something in you that you need to work on.
Because we look sometimes in life through negative lenses. Everything that we see is negative, not because the other person is negative, but because of the lenses that we have on. And so let's clear those lenses and let's see some positivity. You know what I mean? Let's see. Oh, that's your cousin. Yeah.
We got some comments on IG. How do we talk about? I don't got my glasses on. I can't read that.
How about we need to talk about? I like that, D. I like that, D. How about, hey, we need to talk about, and then let's talk about it, or let's discuss. Or, we even have these sessions that we'll do, okay, last 3 months, how's things been? The next 3 months, what we would like to see happen.
We have to do that.
6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, the plan. You know what I mean? Planning it out. And you talk about, and then we'll say to each other, okay, how could I have been better in these last 5 months or 6 months or whatever.
Or like we had an incident that occurred last weekend, and I said, "Oh, were you okay with how I handled that?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you want me to do differently?" Like and that was a key moment where we knew we didn't want to talk about it right then because it didn't directly involve us. It involved other people.
Right.
But we wanted to check in on each other and how it affected us still.
Yeah.
And so I, knowing that, kind of took point, knew it wasn't the time to address it then, and then went back and revisited like, hey, babe, were you okay with how that situation went down?
Right.
Is there anything that I need to do now or that we need to do different? So it's just really taking a moment to be in tune, to be intentional. And hey, you guys, we're all in this community of restoration and enlightenment. If there's something that you ever see me doing that you want to just say, look, B, here's a more elective way, please. Because if you love people, you iron sharpens iron. And what that means is when iron touches and clinks, there could be some friction, there could be some noise. But at the end, it's going to be smooth.
And I will just end it with this, man. If you're married, and more so married than anything, but if you're in a serious relationship with somebody and you're living together, and life is doing whatever it's doing right, if you have to get out of your bed to go and talk to your best friend, did y'all catch that? If you have to get out of your bed to go and talk to your best friend, it's time to check in on your relationship. Because the person that you in the bed with should be your best friend. Now, that doesn't mean you have other people outside that you confide in, that you hang out with, and yada, 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 and all that. But if you can't have the most difficult conversations with the person that you're in bed with, but you can have them with everybody else, there's a problem. So either you need to check your relationship, or as Wifey said so beautiful, check yourself. Because it may be something that's up with you that doesn't allow that conversation to take place, to occur. So make sure that you are able to have those difficult conversations with your significant other. It's going to be difficult. That's why it's called difficult conversations, right? It's going to feel a little uncomfortable. It's going to be hard, but you should get to a place where they become easier and easier because you trust the information that you're getting from your partner.
I like that you said that, babe, because something that we did early in our courting process was that he asked me, tell me something you never told anybody else. Yeah. So what that reminds me to tell those who are courting or who are not in a serious relationship, but you are considering someone or you're getting close to someone, is that you should be able to early and on in the process test those waters to see, is this somebody that I can approach a topic with that's of importance to me? Because if there's a wall there, then at some point it's going to become an issue. I mean, you don't have to tell everything on your first date, but you should be able to go deep at some point within that first quarter to see what's really in these waters. Like, what's in the spirit.
You know, if that's a person that you're considering somebody to be a date. Now, if that's just your little thing that's on the side or whatever that's you doing, y'all just, doing whatever you're doing, then you may not apply those kind of rules, right? But if that's somebody that you're serious about, or you think, I would like to be serious about them, hey, let's get into it then. Let's drop this. Let's have this conversation and see how they respond and see how they, now listen.
Because that laid the groundwork. I told him some stuff that could have ran him away. No doubt. You know what? The reason I did, because I was like, shoot, I could see you as somebody I could be with, but I'd rather you go now if you ain't the type to stick around. No and doubt. I could take the risk with the information I told you because I'm not invested enough. Right? So I just put it out there and I was like, let's see what it's gonna do.
Well, we both did. I mean, we both talked, talked and really it drew us way closer. I mean, probably faster than it probably would have. Yeah, than probably it would have normally had. We really had some deep conversations, and it led to more deep conversations, and it led to us really wanting to learn about more about one another. So the difficult conversations, y'all, it's necessary. It's imperative to the success, to the growth, to the maturation of your relationship. Even with your children, as we were talking about earlier, it's important that your children have that space to be able to come in and talk to you about some important things. Because if not, they're going to be talking to somebody else, and you are not going to always be certain if you trust the information or the reciprocation that they get from the other people, right? So why not have them talk to you? Our children, although they're only 6 and 4, our daughter she's really extremely articulate, and so she talks to us about some heavy things, and we walk away sometimes like, whoa.
Sometimes we gotta look it up or say, let me get back to you.
Yeah, I can't believe I just had this conversation. I'm like, babe, let me tell you the conversation I just had with Lyric, our 6-year-old. It's deep, and Kenny sometimes drops them on us, but we want them to feel comfortable enough to be able to have. I had that relationship with my father. It was the greatest relationship ever that I've ever had outside of my marriage now with my father. She had it with her mother. So I think that's why we nurture that and find and feel that it's so important. Right. Because if you can have it with your parents, I didn't need to go to like my uncles or any, although I could have. I didn't need to go to uncles or aunts or grandparents. I had my father there that I could talk to him, and even my mom to a certain extent to some things had them there. So the difficult conversations are necessary, and it should be important to you that you can have them, and you should encourage it. You should encourage it, right? Encourage those difficult conversations. We have them, and sometimes, we're like, okay.
Yeah, and when you spiritual, you'll say some stuff like, okay, it's time. Those of you that are in tune with your gifts, don't dismiss them. when you know there's something, even if somebody's saying it ain't nothing, but you like, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
I know there's something. And a lot of times the Spirit will reveal to you exactly what it is before the person that's really not able to say it. So all I can say is walk in your gifts. Don't let anybody allow you to question that part. And then put it out there. When, after discernment, as Auntie said, you'll know exactly what to do and when to do it. And be real, right?
So we thank y'all for joining us for another CoreofU Fridays conversation. We're gonna try to keep them coming, y'all. We hope next week. We can't promise, but next week we got something special for you. We hope next week, next Friday, we have something really special. We want to get on. We want to get some feedback from you. We're gonna have hopefully some more couples on with us as we've done before. For a really special CoreofU conversation on Fridays. But we thank y'all for joining us tonight. We thank y'all for your feedback. You can always hit us up on Facebook, Instagram. You can follow us on YouTube. Please follow us on YouTube. Share the videos. In fact, wifey, you want to tell them what you were saying? Oh, CoreofU, CORE of the letter U. We wanted to do a contest for people.
For those who share. I wanted to do that to do the random picker, random picker. So we need to go back and put everybody's names in the random picker that's been sharing and supporting us, and then we'll announce that hopefully.
So maybe next Friday we will announce if you share our videos. The more you share, go back on the CoreofU on Facebook, share our videos, let people know what's going on. If you have questions, if you ever need couples,
send us questions.
Yeah, if you ever have couples coaching, anything or individual coaching that you would like, we're available or we're here for you. We're just trying to serve our community in the best way that we know how, help people learn from our mistakes, help them learn from their mistakes, and just try to be a light in the world that's just filled with so much darkness. But yet and still, there's a whole lot of light too.
Y'all the lights too. Yeah.
Definitely. So we thank y'all for following us. We hope you have a great weekend. I always like to end it saying we hope that you have love, joy, and most importantly, peace in your heart and in your homes.
That's it, babe.
Peace.